Imagine having employees who come to work consistently, who've been invested into your program, connected to your organizational norms, and then all of a sudden you realize that they're leaving immediately at 3:49 or 4 o'clock. You barely get any level of participation from them. They're not engaged in professional developments. They're basically just robots and just going through the motion. You see, there's this term called quiet quitting, which is actually after the pandemic creating a major issue. You see, essentially what's happened after the pandemic is that we now have a generation of people who are striving for balance. And to be very honest, I actually agree with it. You see, at the end of the day, we need to be able to create balance in our lives in order for us to be successful. The challenge is that as an employer, someone who's looking to hire, train, and develop people, it's extremely important that you have people who are invested into your organization. In today's video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about this concept of quiet quitting, which after the pandemic has created a very unique and interesting issue that employers and/or people need to actually think about. My name is Angie Kinslow Sanatus, Angie for short. I'm a principal, father, and a husband. On this channel, we focus on team building, team culture, and team news that will directly impact your organizational structure. If you like topics like this, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get started. Harvard Business Review started the article by talking about the Great Resignation, which, if you guys don't know, is basically after the pandemic, we started having an exodus of people choosing to resign from their in-person positions. Essentially what quiet quitting is that you now have employees who, as I mentioned earlier, are basically just coming to work and doing the bare minimum. No more staying late or participating in non-mandatory meetings. In the end, what you now get is the sense of, I'm only investing what I need to invest in. But according to the article, at first glance, it probably really isn't an issue, right? Well, you gotta understand that if you are a company, then having individuals who go above and beyond, who actually go the extra mile to actually implement strategies and do the extra work, provides organizations with a competitive edge. Part of the problem with quiet quitting is that you now have a situation where you'll have employees who are investing their time, who are doing what they need to do because they want to work and grow within the organization. And then you have others who are not. And then what it now does is that it creates a scenario where you have workers who are working who feel like they're taking an undue level of burden, which will eventually impact morale. Well, the article talks about the fact that people are kind of balancing this issue in normal organizations by providing incentives, by giving people an opportunity to be able to advance in the organization. Basically, you put in extra work, then as a direct result of you putting in the extra work, being creative and displaying some ingenuity, then essentially what's happening is that you are now creating opportunities for you to advance in the organization. But this quiet quitting is creating a situation where people are now choosing to not opt into work. And I want to stress this and be very candid, we have to create balance with the work that we're doing. We need to make sure that we're creating opportunities for longevity. There is a reason why there's a need for a work-life balance. It's becoming a real thing, and people need to be able to find opportunities to build off that work-life balance. As any organizational leader or any person who works in an organization, it's extremely important that we're always pushing for excellence. Now, the article talked about a couple of key things that employers or employees can do to sort of help create a sense of balance and improve this quiet quitting issue happening in organizations. One of the things that came up is redefining job descriptions, taking the opportunity to make sure that job descriptions are extremely clear and that individuals know where their work starts and where it ends, and being very explicit about that. I think one of the critical things about redefining job descriptions is that you create standards of excellence, right? So as an organizational leader, you now need to take the opportunity to not only, hey, let's redefine your job description. These are your hours. This is what you're working on. But I expect that the things that you're working on is excellent. And creating standards of excellence is a great way for you to make sure that you're finding that balance, but also pushing for the work that you need to get done. The next critical point that the article talk about is less hustle, more crafting. Essentially what it is that if you force people to go above and beyond and they exhaust themselves, then what naturally happens is that they get to a point where they fatigue and tire out. Well, the article talks about the idea that You need to create opportunities for people to find things that they are connected to, which will energize and provide more motivation. So create opportunities for people to advance and do more work in things that they're passionate about, as opposed to things that they're not. The next critical thing is to listen more and then invest in those actions that will translate to results. What does that mean exactly? Well, it basically means that as an employer, what you now need to do is take the opportunity to listen and get data around the needs of your people. For example, you'll basically get some data around what are the needs and the issues impacting the organization. Then what you then do is take systematic steps to improve one or more areas over a period of time. Let's be realistic. It is nearly impossible with the things that we have to get done or organizations have to get done to fix all issues and problems for everyone. But you can take systematic steps to improve that. One way to do that is to actually communicate, here are the priorities that we're going to work on, and over the course of 2 months or 3 months or whatever the time frame that you feel best fits, you then create programmatic steps to improve those areas, and then you communicate the progress on that growth. I think what that does is that it sends a message to your organization that you care about what they're saying and that you're creating a good work-life balance within your organization. What the Harvard Business Review found is that employers would rather have someone quit than have someone quiet quit into the organization. Well, implementing these 3 strategies is a great way to address this quiet quitting issue, but I'm going to stress this to be very clear. I think employers and employees need to create work-life balance, but I also understand the way that it's extremely important to make sure that there is a competitive edge in organizations, which means that there has to be a way to counterbalance the investment that people are putting in that benefits everyone in the organization. But hey, this is a real issue, and the pandemic has created a very unique dynamic. But I actually think it's a healthy way for us to make sure that we're creating longevity in the jobs that we work in. All right, and that's it for me. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you like this type of content. And as always, stay hungry, stay motivated, stay focused, and happy planning.